Is it legal to sideload apps to your Firestick or your Chromecast or Apple TV or whatever? Yes it is. Right up until it isn't. Now, if you've heard of sideloading or jailbreaking your streaming device but weren't sure what it was all about or if you should be doing it, well, that is the topic of today's video. We'll go over what sideloading is and how to do it, and then, honestly, 3 reasons why you might not actually want to bother. Now, let's dive in. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. If this video is helpful or enjoyable in some way, then don't forget to give it a like, and if you enjoy what we do on this channel, subscribe. All right, now, what is sideloading? Let's do a quick tutorial. If you already know what it is and how to do it, then go ahead and skip the next 60 seconds or so of the video. If not, here is a crash course in sideloading. Sideloading means putting apps on a device that aren't available in that device's app store. So today I'm going to be using the Firestick as my example, since it's the most common device that allows sideloading. The same principles we'll talk about will apply to many other devices as well, with the giant exception of Roku, which uses a closed software system and doesn't allow sideloading or that sort of kind of tinkering. Sideloading is, in theory at least, pretty simple. You just need a file manager and you need some files to put in it. On the Firestick, the first step is to allow files from unknown sources. To do that, go to the Settings menu, go to My Fire TV, then Developer Options, and then set Apps from Unknown Sources to On. The next step is to get a file manager or get the downloader app, or something similar that lets you download files from online or send files from your phone to your Firestick. Once you've got that, you can search or browse for stuff to download to your device. Not too complicated, right? So what's the point of all this? What can you get now that your device is sideload ready? Well, think back to those long forgotten days of yore, all the way back in 2019, when you couldn't get YouTube on your Firestick or Prime Video on your Chromecast because Google and Amazon were fighting. Or the first few months of HBO Max and Peacock when they weren't available yet on the Firestick. Well, sideloading allows you to circumvent those restrictions and get those apps or apps like them without having to go out and buy a whole new device. Now, obviously, those particular issues have been worked out since then, but who knows? Maybe similar issues will pop up in the future. Or maybe it's something else entirely. You want a browser that's not available natively on your device, or Kodi, or whatever? Now, once you've learned how to sideload, you can download just about any app that you can find online. Sounds pretty sweet. But hold on a second, I mentioned earlier that there are a few reasons why you might not want to even bother with all of this. The first is the potential legal issues. The second is your online safety, and the third is more of a practical point. Let's talk about the legal issues first. This is a topic that comes up a lot on our channel. I review a lot of streaming services, and one of the questions I get most often is, why don't you review Cinema HD or other APKs? APKs, by the way, is simply any file extension for the Android operating system. That's what Fire TV operates on. Well, like I said, there are a few reasons not to bother with sideloading, but one of the big ones for me is that watching the copyrighted content that you find on some of these apps, the content you're not paying for, not legal. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I'm a big fan of supporting creators who work hard to bring you good content. Like and subscribe, thank you very much. Now, this legality thing can get a bit confusing because the apps themselves are actually perfectly legal most of the time. These apps don't actually host any copyrighted content, which would be illegal. Instead, when you click on a title, the app will go fetch the content from somewhere online where it is being stored. Same thing goes with gaming emulators, which are pretty popular on the Firestick. The emulator itself is totally legal, but it's often illegal to actually play the copyrighted games they let you play unless you have some legitimately sourced ROMs or something. Anyway, the point is, if the legality or morality of the issue is important to you, then maybe that sways you away from a sideloading spree. If not, consider the more selfish reason here, your online safety. You know the expression, there's no such thing as a free lunch? Well, it's extremely apt here. Basically what it means is the thing you think you're getting for free, that show or that movie that you're downloading, it might not be as free as you thought. I won't point any fingers at any particular app or emulator out there, but some of them are actually just malware in disguise, and they're looking to use your streaming device to get access to your network. Now, some of those are Trojan horse apps that get really slick at imitating a bigger name app in the hopes that you'll download it on accident. And once you do, you're open to all sorts of data theft. So remember the warning we saw when we turned on apps from unknown sources in the Fire TV menu? It warns you that your Fire Stick and your personal data are less secure, and they essentially wash their hands of any responsibility for what happens after you do this. And this is pretty much why. When you download an app from the official Fire TV App Store, Amazon has done some legwork for you to determine that the app you're getting isn't going to get you instead. So when you start sideloading unverified apps, you're taking your life, or at least your sensitive personal info, into your own hands. Now maybe that's worth the risk for you. For me, not so much. At least not these days, because frankly, I just don't see the need for it at this point. When I started using the Fire Stick years ago, I couldn't get, say, the Firefox browser or YouTube, or more recently, HBO Max, like I mentioned before, or any number of other major apps that weren't playing nice with the Fire Stick system. Nowadays, it's just really not that much of an issue anymore. Everything's pretty much there. And because of that, although I used to do some sideloading, these days I figure it's just not really worth the risk to my security. It's not worth going around copyright law. And everything else that I used to want, that I used to have to sideload to get on my device, is pretty much there in the App Store now. But hey, maybe that's just me. Let me know your thoughts on this issue. I know it's kind of a controversial topic, and I'm probably coming across as a killjoy here, but I'll always tell you how I see it. But what about you? Are you a sideloader? What are you using it for that I'm just not thinking of? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time.